Hello, my dear. Welcome to this week's episode of my coaching corner here on YouTube. My name is Sabrina Militello. If you don't know me super well, I am a coach and founder of Empower Her Coaching. There's some amazing things on the horizon within my ecosystem. Let me just adjust this real quick. And I'm so excited about all that is coming. But first, let's land our feet right here with today's conversation about the real reason you struggle to stay consistent and why it's not what you think it is. I hear from women every single day. I coach women every single day. I'm in conversation with women every single day on their quest for their goal achievement. Let's put it that way. They've got big dreams, big ambitions, big hopes for their lives, and there's a block. There's something they're consistently coming up against that's getting in the way of their ability to create that abundant, free life and future that they so desire, the things that they can't stop thinking about when they lie in bed at night. Good health, freedom of time, financial abundance, good, like a good legacy and a great future for their families and the people that they love. These things are keeping them up at night, but there's just something that's getting in the way of their ability to do what is necessary, do what they know they need to do to create that future they're seeking. And so many people put it down to, I just can't be consistent. I'm not consistent. My answer to that, if you know me, you know the kind of thing that's about to come out of my mouth. My answer to that is actually, you don't have a consistency problem at all, because you are incredibly consistent at giving up. Would you not agree? If you were able to kind of like pick your ego back off the floor after I just said that and dust yourself off, would you not agree that you are hella consistent at giving up? You're consistent at quitting. You're consistent at throwing your hands in the air and just being like, I can't do this. You're hella consistent at that. So it's not that you have a consistency problem. It's not even that you have a willpower problem, because that's the next thing that I hear from women a lot. I wish I had more willpower. I wish I could just do the thing. It's none of those things. We label things as a consistency issue or a lack of willpower because it allows us to put a neat little bow on it and kind of put it on a shelf and be like, okay, one day I'll deal with that. Today's not the day. If you're used to being in my environment, you know that my life work, the whole reason that I do what I do is to help you get unstuck so that I don't continue to see women struggling with this belief that they can't achieve the big dreams and big ambitions they have for their lives simply because there's stories that are rooted in their mind about their worth or their value or their ability or their capability. There's things that they've been told or taught about their what they're supposed to have, the life that they're supposed to live. And they've kind of let those things dictate how they show up. They've let those things be the deciding factor in their ability to push through those hard moments and actually achieve the things that they're striving for. Because I'm not the one that's going to tell you that your quest to achieve that full, free, abundant, joyful life isn't going to be challenging. I'm not the one that's going to tell you that. I'm not going to be here, give you some rah-rah, fake AF BS about if you just keep going, you can do it. Just keep going, you can do it. Even though that is the underpinning message of everything I share, I understand that there's no just about it. It's not a question of just do it, just keep going. Because your ability to just keep going relies on something much deeper than willpower alone, than motivation alone. And that's where we're going to tie in this conversation today about the real reason that you can't stay consistent, and it's not what you think. I'm going to give you my IBS framework. And yes, I named it IBS on purpose because have you ever had that digestive issue? Have you ever experienced IBS, irritable bowel syndrome? Is the acronym for that. I used to suffer with IBS chronically when I was in my mid-20s up until about my mid-30s. It was a solid 10 to 15 years, I want to say, where I really, really struggled with debilitating pain, either when I didn't eat enough, when I was hungry, or it would just come on at stressful times in my life. I used to struggle a lot with insomnia, so I would often have back-to-back days of that, you know, an insomnia attack at night and then IBS the next day because my body was so stressed and in that fight or flight mode. I struggled with that for a solid 15 years. And if you don't know what IBS feels like, it is it's horrific, to the point where I wouldn't be able to sit up straight because my stomach would hurt so badly. And I called this framework the IBS framework because I almost equate that feeling of discomfort and being in pain and just not even having a way out, not being able to see a solution, it just hitting you in the moment and you just have to deal. I see that kind of discomfort of real, like IBS symptoms, with the discomfort of not being able to go out there and live the life you truly want to live. We've talked about this before, that when we don't pursue our big dreams, goals, and ambitions, they don't just die. They don't just go somewhere to like live out their days on a farmstead somewhere and just stay out of your head. No, they fester. I truly believe that they fester. And if you think about some people that may be in your life, you know, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, elders of some description, and you know that they are bitter people, they're intolerant people, they're people that maybe are very self-absorbed, maybe very negative. I know I can picture a good handful of these people for myself. If you can picture those people in your life, can you equate their way of being to some kind of abandoned dream or abandoned ambition, or something that didn't go their way in their formative years or in their earlier years? For, I would say, about 80% of the people that I envision, that I'm thinking about, that are that way, that's the case. They had a dream. They had a vision of what they wanted their life to be. And because they gave up when it got hard, because they were dealt a rough hand and they just took that and lay down when it happened, because life continued to give them really, really hard things and they chose to deal with that in more and more destructive manners, they ended up these bitter, negative, resentful people. I equate the physical symptoms of IBS to living that kind of life, which is why I put this in an IBS framework. So the real reason you struggle with consistency is down to these three things, three factors. IBS. Are you ready? The I stands for your identity. I do a lot of identity work with my clients. A lot of what we spend a good chunk of our time with, especially in the beginning of our coaching relationship, is talking about identity, because you will never outperform what you believe to be true about yourself. We've talked about that before, right? You can't outthink, you can't outsucceed, you can't outgrow what you believe to be true about yourself. So if you're still living in those stories of less than, your lack of value, your lack of worth, your lack of capability, they told you you couldn't do this, you believe that you couldn't do that, you have a story that you don't matter, you don't belong, you're not enough, you don't get chosen. Take your pick. If you're rolling with any of those negative stories about yourself, I can promise you that the results that you're seeing in your life are a reflection of those beliefs. It's a really hard pill to swallow. I know, it's a really, really hard pill to swallow, but I need you to understand that. You will never outperform who you believe yourself to be. So when it comes to your identity, you have to start seeing yourself differently. And I know how hard this is. I come from a very negative, not uplifting background whatsoever. I'm a two-time immigrant. I was born in the streets of Africa. My mother immigrated to the UK when I was 5 years old. We landed in this new country on this new continent, speaking the language, sure, but everything else about what we knew was completely different, and had to figure it out. My mother, with the idea that things were going to be so much better for her in this new land, struggled. She became a single parent after having my two brothers with a man that she married. She became a single parent. We were one of the only Black families in a very white neighborhood. We were very poor in a very affluent white neighborhood, living legit on the wrong side of the tracks, living off of government benefits. Like, everything about my upbringing told me what my life should be. And I believed it for a really, really long time. It wasn't until I was able to kind of question that. One of the best pieces of advice I've ever received is think about your thinking. Think about your thinking, or doubt your doubts before you doubt yourself. And it wasn't until I started thinking about that immediate surrounding, I started looking down the barrel of what my life was gonna be, that I started to question, is that what I really want? And not only is that what I really want, but is this all that's really available to me? And just asking the question opened something. And from that day to now, I'm 42 years old. 43 years old, goodness. I questioned those identity pieces. And by questioning these stories, by questioning what I was supposed to be, who I was supposed to be, what I was supposed to be worthy of, I've been able to build a life that is so far removed from what I was supposed to have that sometimes I catch myself. Just 2 days ago, I was doing some chores around our beautiful home, and I caught myself and I was like, this is where I live. This is where I live. This is the environment that I have. This is the safe place that I get to call my home. And I have moments like that periodically because I was able to question the identity I had been carrying around and decided to carve out something different. So I want you to think about that. What identity are you holding on to? What are you believing to be true about yourself? And how can you see, if you're honest with yourself, how that is directly correlated with the results that you're seeing in your life, the quality of life you're experiencing, the quality of your health, the quality of your relationships, the quality and success of your business endeavors or your career? Please give yourself the ability to be honest about that. Because if you don't, that's something that you're never going to be able to change, that identity piece, and it is changeable. I see so many women saying things like, I'm just a procrastinator, I'm just an overthinker, I just have self-doubt. The longer you hold on to those identities, because those are identities that you're claiming, the longer you hold on to those, the longer you stand in your own way of being able to overcome some of those characteristics that you may have displayed in the past and block your ability to carve out something different for your future. So that's the I in IBS. The B in my IBS framework for why you're struggling to stay consistent is your beliefs. This ties very neatly in with your identity, because your identity is what you believe to be true about yourself, right? Your beliefs as a whole, it allows us to now look outside of ourselves, look at our relationships with other people, and look at our relationship with the world as a whole. And when I say with the world as a whole, I'm talking about what you believe to be true about your situation, your circumstances, the world that you live in, what is available to you, what is not, the decisions that are made that affect your life, your ability to control certain things, your ability to not. So when I'm talking about how your belief systems about the world and how they impact your ability to stay consistent, I'm talking about if you, say for example, you believe the world is against you, if you have an intrinsic belief that the world is against you, and I know people like this, I have members of my family that are like this. They believe that the world is against them. Everything is bad. The government is horrible. The government is horrible. All the decisions out there are terrible. This group of people are awful. That group of people are awful. They have that world view, right? How consistent in bettering themselves do you think those individuals are? They're not. They're not. I've never worked with somebody who has a very pessimistic worldview, because the innate nature of the work that I do means that somebody comes to me when they want to change their circumstance. They want to change the situation. They want to better themselves, right? So somebody who has a very pessimistic worldview generally doesn't come to somebody to help them in those areas. So my observations are from people, human beings, how I observe how human beings interact, how I observe how human beings show up in the world through my family members, through people that I meet on a day-to-day basis, conversations that I have with people that maybe have considered coaching, but I usually decide that at least I'm not the coach for them because of their very static worldview and their unwillingness to do the work to change that, right? It's just not, that relationship just wouldn't work. So I choose not to engage with clients like that, or prospective clients like that. But I want you to think about, if you are somebody who you have a negative view on the world, maybe you're doing your best to change. Maybe you're wanting so badly for things to be different and there's a block and you just don't know what it is. Perhaps this is it. You have a negative and pessimistic view on the world and believe that everything is against you. Your ability to stay consistent in your forward movement is going to be greatly hindered if that is your overall perspective, because there's a locus of control issue here, right? And that this is a very big psychological body of work, but the locus of control basically talks about your an individual's view, that's not the right word, individual's perspective, it's still not the right word, but I'll roll with it, an individual's perspective of the amount of control they have over their life, right? That is essentially your locus of control. So if you believe the world is against you and the government is against you and everything out there is against you, that group of people is against you, everything is divergent, everything is destructive, nothing is positive, nothing's ever going to turn out right, things are bad and they're only going to get worse, you have a very low locus of control because you believe that everything out there is coming at you and there's nothing you can do about it. So that is going to dramatically affect your ability to do the things you know you need to do in order to make your life, your health, your relationships, your finances, all of that better. Because what's the point? What's the point? Have you ever said that to yourself? What's the point? I know I have. I've had moments like that. I'm not immune to this. But whenever you have moments like that, what's the point? You have to give yourself the opportunity to answer that question. What's the point? When you have a moment of a negative moment, what's the point? Answer the question. The point is, I want a better life for myself. The point is, I don't want to continue to live in this destructive mindset. The point is, I want to be better and bolder and bigger and have a better life. That's the point, right? So this is like, I didn't mean to talk about your relationship with world quite so in depth, but I think it needs to be said. If you're somebody who struggles to be consistent in the actions you know are necessary to move your life in the direction you want it to go, is it because you have a negative world view and perspective and you allow the bad of the world to kind of take you out and you throw your hands up, what's the point? And you go and self-abuse, or you go and watch Netflix instead of studying, or you go and, avoid and isolate and do whatever so that you're not taking those actions. And I know that the world is messed up. Trust me, I'm not somebody who's here who's completely immune or ignorant of what is happening in our world. I'm very aware. I'm very, very aware. I choose not to allow my energy or my purpose to be hijacked by those things, because that doesn't do anybody any good either, right? So really think about that. I want you to kind of do some soul searching on this topic, specifically around your consistency. And is it because of that low locus of control, because of your worldview, your perspective? So that's one piece of it, right? We talked about your beliefs and how identity is tied to beliefs when it comes to yourself. We talked about your beliefs in relation to the world, and there's also beliefs in relation to other people. What are you believing about other people? What are you believing about your relatedness with other people? Are you lacking consistency in what you need to do for yourself because you put other people's needs above your own? Are you lacking consistency in doing what you need to do for yourself because somebody puts you in a bad mood and so you just forget the good things that you wanted to do for you and you go and self-soothe, isolate, avoid? Think about that. How are your beliefs in relation to other people affecting your ability to do the things you know you need to do on a consistent basis? Are there boundaries that need to be set? We've had a big conversation about boundaries before in this environment. So you could feel free to search back and look through the archives and find that conversation. Is it a self-worth issue that you're putting other people's needs above your own all the time? Well, I read something the other day, and the woman, I can't remember who it was, it might have been Africa Brooke, but she said that being selfish is the most forward-moving thing that you can do. Being selfish is, I think she actually put it, being selfish is the best thing you can do for the world. That was the tagline, which made me stop. I was like, okay, let's watch. And it was basically what I just shared with you. That if you're consistently putting other people's needs above your own, you never fulfill the needs, the ambitions, the goals, the dreams that you have for your life. And that makes the world a less rich place. You may not believe that. You may think, oh, nothing that I do matters. Nothing that I'm trying to do is going to be that impactful. Again, your perspective on the world, your relationship with the world, your beliefs about the world, right? But I don't believe that to be true at all. I think we all have a purpose. We all have a reason for being. We all have certain dreams and hopes that are placed on our heart. And I believe that they were placed there because we are the person to bring them into life. And by bringing them into life, the world is better. Because it's not just the thing that you do, it's who is affected by the thing that you do, who is impacted by the thing that you do, whose day is better, whose life is better, who gets more perspective or insights or tools or strategies, who has a better path forward because of what you do. So think about that. In your relatedness with other people, what are you allowing to fall by the wayside in your own actions because either a lack of boundaries, a lack of worth or sense of value, putting people's needs above your own, or maybe thinking people are against me? Again, coming back to that worldview perspective, do I think that other people are against me? Do I think that other people will judge me? Do I think that other people are going to ridicule me or reject me? Can you see how that would also greatly impact your consistency, especially in actions that are to birth something into the world? It's your career, your entrepreneurial endeavors. Maybe you want to have children. Maybe you want to go and get a new qualification. Maybe there's something you want to build or create. If you're afraid of rejection, how do you think that's going to go? So think about this, right? In this beliefs bucket, we've got beliefs about ourselves, which ties back to the identity piece of this framework, beliefs about the world and how the world impacts us, and then beliefs about our relatedness with other human beings. These are huge pieces of the puzzle that we need to get really aware and conscious of in order to up our consistency. Remember, I told you this wasn't going to be what you think. It's much deeper than most people are willing to address. All right, so the IBS framework for the real reason you struggle with your consistency, the I was for identity, the B was for your beliefs, and the S is for self-trust. Self-trust. I believe that so many women specifically struggle with self-trust or struggle with consistency, let's start there, because of a lack of trust in themselves. We're always looking, and this age of social media that we're in, the age of the internet, the abundance of information is so huge, right? And we're always able, not only looking to, but able to look for solutions from that person over there, that person over there, that person over there, that person over there. We've got so much at our fingertips of how to, like, the best way to do X, Y, and Z. If you want the best way to lose 10 pounds in 30 days, you'll find 10,000 different ways that are the best way, right? If you want the best way to build a business without making any mistakes, you'll find 10,000 different people's perspective on how to go about doing that. One, it's not real. There's never going to be a way that you can do anything without making any mistakes. So let's get rid of that. And losing X amount of weight in X amount of days is great, but can you keep it off? There's so much that is tied into all of this stuff, right? And that's why we lack the ability to trust ourselves, because there's so much contradictory information that surely is coming from the experts. And if it doesn't tie in with what our preference is or what we thought was the right answer, we will immediately reject what was on our mind and try and pursue one of those other options. And when that doesn't work, we go to option 9,999. When that doesn't work, we go to option 9,998. Do you see what I mean? Our ability to truly create something in our lives, whether that's a weight loss goal, a health goal, a relationship that we want to save or work on, a career that we want to build, a level of financial freedom that we want to attain, an experience that we want to have, a vacation we want to have, a qualification we want to get, a career we want to advance, whatever it is, our ability to do that is going to hinder on us building self-trust. It really is. Because remember when I said that pursuing anything of note, you're going to come up against struggle. It's going to be hard. You're going to have to jump over obstacles. You're going to have to navigate really tough things in order to achieve the things you want for your life. If you don't trust yourself, you don't trust your ability to show up, you don't trust your ability to learn as you go, you don't trust your ability to stay consistent, you don't trust your ability to figure it out, how's that going to work? It's not going to work, right? So self-trust is such a fundamental piece of the puzzle. I think it's a foundational piece of all of this. Women that struggle with overthinking, that struggle with perfectionism, procrastination, self-doubt, women that struggle with any of these characteristics that we talked about, they're not personality traits, they're not identities that you should just adopt and take on. They're characteristics that you've had up until now. Women that struggle with these things have an underlying lack of self-trust. Through many years, over a decade of work, observing women, learning from women, coaching women on their goal achievement, being in the work of forward movement in the life of the individual, I know it's a fundamental lack of self-trust that underscores all of those behaviors that keep us stuck, those belief systems that keep us stuck. Self-trust is the thing to build. I was writing my journal the other day. I have like a prompted journal 365 days. It gives you a prompt for each day so that, I don't know about you, but if looking at a blank page, sometimes I'm like, I don't know what to write. There could be a lot of things I want to get on paper, but if it's a blank page staring at me, I'm just like, I don't know. So having this prompted journal has really been game changing for me, journaling every single day this year so far. And one of the prompts was, what do you consider to be self-care and how do you integrate that into your life? And I reject the traditional view of self-care. I don't think self-care is just about bubble baths and date nights and girls' nights out and chocolate and, any of those things, getting a massage. Sure, those are acts of self-care, sure. But I believe self-care shows up in how you treat yourself on a daily basis. What you decide matters to you on a daily basis, how you treat yourself on a daily basis, how you're nurturing yourself on a daily basis. And I want you to look at your schedule, maybe look at your habits over the past week. How many times over the past week did you do something just for you? Did you work out? Did you eat great meals, healthy meals? Did you meditate? Did you take yourself for a walk? Did you sit and read when you started to feel a little bit overwhelmed by life? Did you exit and just sit with yourself for a bit and gave yourself time to sit? Did you stand up for yourself? Did you take some quiet time? Did you rest when you needed to? Did you work when it was necessary and got the things done and then really gave yourself the opportunity to decompress? What have you done for yourself, purely for you, in the past 7 days? Because that will give you an indicator, that was a weird way to kind of emphasize that word. That will give a strong indicator of your value or your intentionality around your self-care. And that will tell you a lot about your relationship with yourself. And oftentimes when people struggle in their relationship with themselves, it's because there is a lack of self-trust and a lack of self-belief. I'm sure you can hear my husband, he's on a work call. So I really want you to take this framework, the IBS framework for your consistency, and dive into that deeper. Where is it that your identity needs to shift? What stories do you need to let go of? Where is it that your belief systems need to change in your beliefs about the world and your place in it, and your beliefs about your relatedness with other people? And where is it that self-trust needs to be cultivated, needs to be built, needs to be nurtured in your life? Because these three things tie back to your ability to show up and do the things. I teach a lot on results, right? The results that you get in your life don't just come from what you do. Looking at it from the outside, yes, you do a certain thing, it yields a certain result, right? But your ability to do that certain thing starts all the way back in your mind. It starts all the way back in what you're thinking and what you're believing to be true. So your consistency is directly tied to how you think. So when we're talking about identity, your beliefs, and your self-trust, that's what we're talking about. How are you thinking about your thinking? I hope this served you. Hope it gave you some nuggets and some things to really dive into and journal on and navigate for yourself and unpack. Do that work. I encourage you to do that work, because so much of what we do here in these Coaching Corner episodes are conceptual, right? Because we're not working together one-on-one. I don't have the nuances of your specific struggle and your specific situation, what specifically it is you want to achieve and what's blocking you, so that we can work through that and navigate through that together. That's my sweet spot in the work that I do. It's what I love so much. So having these conversations that are, somewhat separate, I hope they still provide you value, but it's conceptual. So in order to really extract all the value from this, I need you to do the work. Take these concepts and really unwrap them. Let yourself dive deep into them, journal on them, really go into the work, the questions that I asked you, and navigate that for yourself so that you can start to unravel this and write a new narrative for yourself that is essentially going to be the fuel for your new consistent habits in your life. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you next time.